This is the first video in a series of videos that will go through each of the chapters in Extending Art of Illusion, at least the first 10 chapters of Extending Art of Illusion. Um, and we'll give a demonstration of some aspect of that chapter. Now, the reason I make a distinction about it being the first 10 is because the last few chapters of the book, or last about half the book actually, is a quick reference that, of course, I'll talk about that sometime in a video as well. But um, it's a quick reference that gives you all the various classes that you can use to control Art of Illusion using your scripts and plugins. But the first 10 chapters go through and help you to understand how to do that. And of course, the first chapter is an introductory chapter, and it covers the details of how to get started. There's a little bit of a learning curve involved, and so it kind of helps you get over that. It starts out with it gives you some scripts you can write, some simple scripts, and also it does a hello world type thing for plugins, and so that will get you over the learning curve. And rather than just repeat that in this video, I wanted to give you the obligatory um, create a cube script that so many people have already done in other places for other tools. Um, so if you bring up Art of Illusion, you'll have the screen will look pretty much like what you see here. Mine looks a little bit different because I've got some of the plugins that with some of these tools over here that you won't have on yours yet. Now, if you read the book and install the plugins, you will have those, but right now you won't have them. Um, but you'll have it. You'll look like this, um, and as far as writing scripts, the scripts are on the tool menu. You can go into edit script to do that. Um, but I'll change the view first. We'll go with one view, just because we're not really manipulating anything. We're doing it with a script, so we can make it one view, and then I'll also turn grids on so we can see where the floor is. This will be the zero along the y-axis is what you're seeing there, just a flat plane. So if we go back to the scripts, we edit the script, um, and you're presented with this blank screen, and you'll notice over here you've got a couple of different languages. Bean shells, what was in some of the previous versions of Art of Illusion. As far as I know, it's not going to go away at all, and at least it won't go away anytime soon. You'll still be able to use those scripts if you have them, but now they're pretty much encouraging people to use Groovy instead, and so we'll use that. They as far as languages, they look very similar. There's a few minor differences between them. They're both based on Java, um, but in this area you can write a script, um, and so we want to create a cube, and to do that, of course we want to um, start out. I mean, our first thought is, okay, let's figure out what a cube is, and so a cube is an object we want in the screen. So let's create a variable for that. Um, so we'll say new cube, and I'm going to give it a size of 1 on each side, so um, you can, these values are x, y, and z. They're widths for the cube, um, which is something you can get out of the back of the book if you want to. Of course, the code is also available. But I actually find it easier to get it out of the back of the book. Um, and of course, since I'm hoping you'll buy the book, that's part of the reason I'm plugging it. Uh, but it's not quite as simple as just saying, okay, let's create a cube and let's add it. We also want to be able to position this thing in the scene. Um, so we'll need another object to go along with it. So we'll need an object info. Um, so we'll use a variable for that as well. Of course, the first parameter is the object that we created before on the line above. So the cube itself. This next one is the coordinate system, and we're just going to create a new coordinate system to pass it. If we have an existing coordinate system from another object or something, we might pass it into this. But in a case like this, where we just want to create a new object and put it in the center of the screen, we're just going to create a new coordinate system. It always defaults to 0 on all the parameters, so that would be position and rotation. Um, so we'll just use the default constructor here to give it a 0 position. Um, and then the last parameter for this object is the name, and we can name it whatever we want, but we'll call it a cube. And being consistent with the way things are done in our illusion, we'll also give it a number. You don't have to give it a number. You can give it any number you want, but um, for our script, we'll just use a 1 here, um, so that it at least looks like the other objects in the scene. So now we're ready to take this object and we can add it to the window. And a window is a special parameter, and I talk about this in the book. For scripts, um, you don't have to define it; it's already defined for you. Um, but you always have this special, at least in the tool scripts. Now, the object scene object scripts, um, they have a special parameter for script. Um, so so the scripted object will have a special parameter for script, um, which has a slightly different purpose, but it kind of works for the same thing. And part of the reason is you don't have the same, because it's an object rather than something that you're manipulating the window. It can't really do quite the same thing, but it also has some advantages in other ways. Um, so we'll use this special object window, and we're going to, which is pretty much just the window you're looking at here. We're going to add an object to it, and that's going to be our object info that we just created. because it contains the cube, and then the window is going to contain the object info. So that's what we have for the first parameter, and then for the second parameter we have a undo record, and um, so so for now we'll just say undo, um, and that means we have to actually have an undo record, and so we're going to um, create this object, um, set it equal to new undo record. And it's going to take two parameters, and the first is going to be window, which we already talked about, and then the second in this case is going to be true. And basically this field, this parameter lets you, it defines whether it's redoable or not. Um, and for this, it should be fine to say true. And then the last thing, as far as something we need to do, we also need to update the image after we've added it. So we'll say window update image, and then we need to set the undo record. And the undo feature is, or the undo system is talked about some in the book. It's a little bit much to go into here, since all we really want to do is create a cube. Just be aware that it is there. It gives you the ability to undo what you've done, and so we have it on in here. So now we have the script, and we can execute it. We get this out of the way, and we see that we have a cube that's in the scene, and this cube can be moved around the scene like anything else. So it's just a normal cube, and that's really all there is to it. Now there is a slight problem with this, because as you saw, it's not real helpful looking at that blank screen. Um, it doesn't give you any helps or anything like that. So one of the things I do when I'm writing a script is, instead of writing it in Art of Illusion, I will actually go into Eclipse, and here we have the same script that you just saw, and at the top here we have some extra stuff. Within Art of Illusion, all of this extra stuff is included already for you. It's done behind the scenes, so you don't have to worry about it. Window is created as a new layout window, or maybe not as a new layout window, but it is created as a layout window, and so it's pointing at that. But so the rest of this is the script that we just wrote, and so it has access to all these imports that are already in the system for you. And the nice thing about doing it in Eclipse is you can set up Eclipse using so that you have the Groovy editor in that, so it'll recognize the language. You can import the classes that you need. So I would make sure that it has access to all of these, so that when you actually write the script down in this area, that it gives you all the cues that you need to know, okay, this is what I need next. And so if we mouse over like undo record, we can see that the first parameter is an editing window, um, which in this case was the layout window. The second parameter is that boolean is redo. Um, for a cube, we can see that we have a size X, a size Y, and a size Z info object. It takes an object 3D, which is the base class for all the objects in the system that we display, and it takes a coordinate system and then a name. When we add it to the window, it takes the object info, which is the main reason why we had to create the object info, and then it takes an undo record. Of course, the update image doesn't have any parameters, and then set undo record just takes the undo record. So the nice thing about doing it in Eclipse is you can see all the stuff that you need to kind of help you through it, and then you can copy that over into Art of Illusion to run your script. Um, so that's what I normally do if I'm going to write a script. Of course, you can write it over here in this window here, and it works, but it's not ideal because it doesn't give you all the nice features. Now, if you have a script that you're running and you just need to make changes, then it's fine to do it here, I'm sure. But as far as actually writing a new script, you probably want to do it in Eclipse. So that's it for this video, and I hope you'll watch the other videos on the subject, and of course, I really hope you'll go purchase the book.